answer what you saying, yo. Silly with your ice, brilliant with the dilly, yo.
All right, DJs, if I just asked you on what bar and what beat did this Busta Rhymes acapella just drop on, do you know the answer to that? Whether you do or you don't, let's run it back one more time, and then I'm gonna introduce what we're gonna be doing in this acapella challenge. Let's get into it.
Answer what you saying, yo. Silly with your ice, brilliant with the dilly, yo.
All right, DJs, I didn't mean for this to be a trick question. However, there's definitely more than one right answer technically. So the instrumental on my left deck, that actually started on bar number 4, and then the acapella came in on the downbeat. Once we restarted that bar number 4, it then goes back to bar number 1 on that downbeat number 1. So technically the right answer would be bar 1, beat 1. However, if you counted starting from 1, so if you went 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2, you might have guessed the acapella started on bar 2, beat 1, which technically would be right. So let me explain how this challenge is gonna work. Essentially, I'm gonna play an instrumental on one deck. On the other deck, I'm going to start an acapella. And your job is to guess, or not necessarily guess, but to know at what bar and what beat did that acapella start on. Some of these may start on an 8th note or a 16th note. So super quick, basic music theory lesson. We have quarter notes. Those are gonna be the 1, 2, 3, 4. 8th notes are gonna be the 1 and 2 and 3 and. Those ands are 8th notes. And then if we count 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. So those E's and the U's right after those ands, or we have the and in between, the E and the those are gonna be 16th notes. So when you're saying, or whenever you're writing down, I definitely suggest you grab your phone, notes app, or on your computer, or pencil or paper, however you wanna do it. Every time you hear the acapella, you wanna write down the bar. So starting with the bar, then the beat, then you wanna write down if it's a quarter note. Quarter notes, again, those are gonna be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Ands are gonna be the 8th notes, and then the E's and the U's are going to represent the 16th notes. And lastly, I'm going to let you know what bar to start counting from. Again, this is to test your music theory skills. And at the end of this video, I'm gonna tell you and explain why knowing where these acapellas are starting on is really important and why music theory is important in general. Let's hop into it.
I've got holes. I've got holes.
Whole lot of problems, trying to see them turn into dollars, so I'm here.
I said, give me 2 words. I need you.
It's my fault, I'm sorry. I knew I forgot to call you.
I'm never going nowhere, so don't try me.
3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2 and 3. So as you can see, that starts right on that bar number 4, right on that downbeat, beat number 3 on that quarter note. 1 and 2 and 3. All right, so that one's gonna start right on that 3. We have 1 and 2 and 3. 4E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. All right, so this one is a little bit tougher. As you can see and hear, it comes right in, right before that 1. So we have 4E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Okay, so 4E, 1E and a 2E.
It's my fault, I'm sorry. I knew.
All right, so this one again starts on that bar 1, and this is gonna come in on beat number 2, again on that E, which is a 16th note. So we have 1E and a 2E.
It's my fault.
Okay, so bar 1, beat 2 on that E.
I'm never going nowhere, so don't try me.
All right, so for this one, we're gonna have bar 1, beat 1 on that E. So it's 1E, a again, as soon as it starts, 1 E, and then that acapella is coming right in. All right, DJs, now I just wanna break down why it's super important to know your basic music theory when it comes to mixing as well as scratching. Now for scratching, you always wanna know where your acapella starts in relation to the 1. So essentially, as you know, as a DJ, you know that every acapella doesn't always come in perfectly on a downbeat, or it doesn't always come in on that 1. So sometimes it might be, let's say we're talking about a beat starting from the 1. The acapella may not start until, let's say, beat number 3. So bar 1, beat 3. You wanna always know this, and over time it'll become more natural, but in the beginning you really wanna be cognizant of when that acapella starts, because if it is bar 1 and it's beat 3 and you're doing like some baby scratches or whatever scratch pattern you're doing, you don't wanna start the acapella until the instrumental reaches that bar 1 and beat 3, because if you don't, if you start it too early or too late, you'll instantly mess up the phrasing. And the phrasing, essentially, that just means if you, let's say, to keep it in simple terms, if we have an instrumental and we have 4 bars of an instrumental, and it's, let's say we took out the acapella, but if the acapella was in, we're in a verse, and that verse has 4 bars. If you take that acapella out and you put a different acapella on that same instrumental, you wanna make sure you're playing the verse over that verse. So you want the verses to pretty much line up. You want the choruses to line up. Now you don't always have to do this, but I will say that that is a rule of thumb, that you want your choruses to match up and you want your verses to match up. Now another thing when it comes to scratching, I like to teach my patterns in a certain amount of bars. So it might be a 1 bar pattern or it might be a 2 bar pattern. So when you know your basic music theory, let's say you want to scratch in your song and you have the 1 lined up, but you want to make sure that you drop it at the right time. So when you're listening to the other instrumental, let's say you want to take out the acapella at a certain part, you want to make sure that you're doing it on bar 3, because you have bar 3, so you'll have 3 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So once you get to that 1, that's where you want your 1 to be dropping with the acapella. So we started on that 3. If you know where that 3 is, you know you now have 2 bars, the 3 and 2 and 3 and 4, that's 1 bar, 4 and 2 and 3 and 4, it's another bar, and then you drop. You know you have that full 2 bars. Or let's say you have a 1 bar pattern, then you would start your scratch pattern on the 4. So you just have 4 and 2 and 3 and 4, whatever your scratch pattern is, then you drop it on that 1. So I don't want to harp on this too much in this video, but those are just 2 quick reasons why knowing your basic music theory is super important, because you always want to understand what your phrasing is doing and making sure that your phrasing is correct when you're mixing or when you're scratching. All right, DJ, so if you enjoyed this challenge, make sure you also check out my previous challenge that I did. It'll have a few more acapellas that you can test yourself on to test your music theory skills, specifically knowing when those acapellas are coming in. Also, make sure that you check out the other music theory lessons if you need a more in-depth lesson on music theory. So without further ado, that is this entire video. If you enjoyed it, please press that subscribe button. Also press the like button and turn on that notification bell so you know the next time that I upload a video. Without further ado, said that twice, but I will catch y'all on the next life.